Today, however, in my speech, I would like to try to establish the truth because even listening to the speeches from the majority benches, it almost seems that reality has become a burden for punga-pungkado o dumakasyo. But with the government, also by virtue of today's press review, and also because of the speeches I heard today in the chamber, a detail to be hidden since it does not adapt and does not conform to the world of fairies, wizards, and elves that memories and their ilk continue to feed us every day. And so today my speech addresses just one subject to retrieve the truth, at least within these walls of Parliament, which does not happen on the government benches. At least it should happen here in Parliament because, well, I have the feeling that the members of the government, together with the majority, are describing a different world, a parallel world, an almost fairy tale world and all. This isn't just my personal feeling, considering I live within this bowl, within these speeches, but I truly think the Italian people are also picking up on it, that you're painting a picture of a world that doesn't exist. What are we talking about with this motion that we are about to vote on, and for which I anticipate the favorable vote of the Five-Star Movement Group, Urinco, Porrahut, of the 5 Max, Grupo Cutipo? Well, it's about one truth, Mr. President, and that is that in recent years, the cost of living has become a mountain that grows relentlessly. People find themselves confronting new cost rises every day, fuel prices, excise taxes, highway tolls, utility bills, plus food costs, And what do those in government do? They blame others. Europe, previous governments, and the geopolitical crisis. We have a country where purchasing power has shrunk and where businesses are struggling to reprogram, especially if the government then ends up reshuffling the cards. It reshuffles the cards. That's what happened with Transition 4.0. That's what happened with Transition 5.0. And young people who make it in this real world in Italy, not the ones evoking speeches, the real ones, continue to leave not just for a simple adventure, but out of necessity because they can't find the right job here. And while all this is happening, what is happening? The government, but also the members of the majority today who tell us that everything is fine, then we just have to believe, we just have to resist, we just have to wait. Because, among other things, for them, we live in a fairy world, and Meloni is the fairy president of the council who, in fact, is unable to immerse herself in the real life of citizens. Well, every now and then she does it, we must say, not very much to tell the truth. For example, when she deals with what is happening in the Middle East, she realized that she is a mother, that she is a Christian, and she was indignant about a mass not being said in the Holy Land. Well, every now and then, fairy President Meloni should also be interested, perhaps indignant about the thousands of children sacrificed by the Trump, real estate agency, or more simply, as we want to do with this motion, take care of a country that is suffering, her country. 5 families only in the Igrizuxrali and the extreme, entire generations excluded from work. And instead, what does the Prime Minister, the fairy president of the council, do? Or does she blame others? Today, I also heard it said that the blame lies almost entirely with the vote of Italian citizens who voted no to nuclear power. Even democracy has become a problem. It is a fault. But it also produces useless decrees. The bill's decree that cut the extraordinary ordinary bonus for the most vulnerable families from Euro 200 to Euro, or the decree that cut excise duties by 100%. Of the price of oil, and which will last until April 7. Pay attention to how the coverage is found by linearly cutting all the ANCs of all the ministries. 94 million taken away from the Ministry of Health. Strangely enough, nothing from the Ministry of Defense. And next Friday, the newspapers are already saying that this insufficient and useless 25-cent bonus will be extended to April 30. And what should we expect, Mr. President? Perhaps the closure of emergency rooms to find another 20 cents for Italians. And what can we say? In the fiscal decree that has even emptied the already paltry budget law by cutting by 760 million the allocation for the benefit of companies that had invested in November 2025. But in one of her rare moments when the fairy Meloni returns to the real world, what does she do at midnight? She responds to a regional deputy on Facebook. I mean, imagine the fairy president who caught up in a terrifying economic situation, in a dramatic international situation. You said it yourself, in the disaster of her purges of her government. What does she do? She goes to respond on Facebook to a regional deputy who criticized her because she challenged a law of the Sicilian region that was intended to help companies automated by Cyclone Harry. Maybe it's time we, the members of parliament, along with our fellow citizens, began writing to Ms. Meloni. Perhaps she might finally deign to listen to and consider our concerns and requests. Let's write her a short letter. Perhaps we can get a glimpse of her. Speaking of fairies, Meloni is one of them who sometimes even takes the time to respond to the letters written by us parliamentarians, as though we were children just before bedtime, though. And maybe we can start writing to her. Dear fairy, this year I would like less inflation. Dear fairy, could you lower the cost of living? Dear fairy, maybe even a little higher saddles. Fairy, I can't do the shopping anymore. The supermarket is like a jewelry store, and while I'm fasting, my car doesn't want to hear about doing the same. Can you convince her to go on air? But Meloni, the Meloni fairy, is too tired and remains silent. She has run out of words. Perhaps she is too busy with her purges in parliament and her government. Perhaps to convince the person under investigation to leave, or perhaps to advise her under secretary to return to his business at the steakhouse. The Prime Minister fairy. I would just like to say one thing without a letter. Reality, unfortunately, President, does not work like a fairy tale. Prices will not go down by continuing to sing Disney songs. Bills cannot be paid with your babbling or your ministers. Oh, be careful. Today it was said that another minister is leaving. Probably he will tell us about it at the information on phase 2 on day 9. Let's stay calm, let's be calm, because phase 2 is starting. In Sicily, when people say stay calm, we worry. Sicilians can certainly know that, but their calmness and serenity are unsettling to us nonetheless. That's life. And what should happen? Italians especially. President did not want a fairy tale and are still waiting for so many resources. And then perhaps we should change our approach. I suggest to President Meloni, fewer fairy tales, fewer imaginary letters, fewer promises hanging in the air, more clear numbers, more responsibility. In a word, let's try to recover the truth, at least we here in Parliament, because politics is not magic. It is choice, it is priority, it is the courage to say things as they are, even when it is not convenient, and above all, respect. Respect for those who work, for those who pay taxes, for those who keep this country afloat every day without magic wands. President, no one asked you to create a fairy tale. We are simply asking you to govern